All right, so I had a second topic that I was bringing to the Squawk with Skarm table for the day. This one probably will not be as long as the anime discussion, thankfully. Uh, the question before the house. I did want to do some Pokemon conversations when we do these Squawk with Skarm comments, and I got the idea for this video a couple weeks ago from my Discord server because we were having a brief conversation, and it inspired the question that I want to ask everyone: does Hoenn have too much water? Does it? Does it? Does it have too much water, guys? Not really? Yesn't. So I was thinking about the question. This was just like a serious question. I'm like, you know, when I was younger, my memory of Hoenn obviously remembers the seas of Hoenn, but at the same time, like I don't remember the oceans of Hoenn being that overpowering. Like, just from a nostalgic memory standpoint. Like, I remember being irritated by every Wingull and tentacle that popped up, but I didn't feel like I actually remember the oceans as kind of being exciting. Like they were like a slog, like an endgame part of the journey where you're just exploring the ocean and getting lost, and you almost there's a tension, you're like, oh, I hope my team doesn't get beat down to a pulp, you know? Feel better if they had some small patches of grass on the islands. When you were younger, after the seventh gen, the game started to lose you a little. Yeah, and see, I'm all for having this discussion. I'm sure not everyone's gonna agree with me. Let him cook, let him cook. I mean, I'm just saying, to me, the ocean routes felt like an end game adventure. It felt like the logical conclusion to the late game of Hoenn. I do agree that it probably could have used a little more variety in the oceans, but I think therein lies the problem. How do you make ocean routes interesting? You can always and then, so this was another thought I had. How many land routes are really that distinct? Like, are the Hoenn land routes really I mean, there is some variety, but how repetitive is a land route versus an ocean route? Emerald didn't help things with a water gym and a water champion and a water evil team. Well, someone pointed it out to me, and I was baffled when I learned this fact. There is a 50-50 split between water routes and land routes, which blew my mind. My eyes of pity is do what makes you happy. God damn it, Corfish. Yeah, if you didn't actually, grass wasn't even the secret sauce. You needed an electric type to deal with the water routes because of all the Wingull and Tentacle. Which made it really highly incentivized to use a Manectric because it was the only new and unique electric type. And I think that's why at this point I'm so turned off of Manectric because I've used it too many times. Dive helped the diversity a fair amount. Yeah, I agree. I think an Oasis would have been cool. So I've talked about it before. I've always had this dream of making this super classic Pokemon ROM hack of the first four regions and trying to redefine the original classic experience And I think one of the things that would definitely be a priority, well, it would be low on the priority list because there'd be so many higher priority things. But like one of the late stage development things that I think would be cool would be to try to spruce up the water routes. Do it? I can't do it. That's the problem. You're gonna need to find me a team of people. And if I can get a team of people that I can do it with, I will absolutely like that. That is low key something I would love to do long term if we could get the Super Skarmory brand growing again. I am not very optimistic about that prospect, but because my idea is already like giga ambitious, right? My idea is to combine the first four regions into one game, and I don't even know if that's possible. Also, hello, Haley. We were just talking about you. Only good things, I assure you. I think you might overestimate my power these days, Corfish. You overestimate my power. The reverse Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, it would definitely be difficult, but man, what I would give to make it happen. Kyogre is proof that there's water. Yeah, so back to the original question at hand. Does Hoenn have too much water? The the conclusion is who knows? The funny thing about the meme that cropped up was it came from Oras, right? And the funny thing was Oras did a lot to like make the water routes less stressful. And I think like honestly the biggest thing they either needed to do was like giga lower the encounter rate. I know they lowered it in Oras, they needed to lower it more. Um or they just needed to like improve the repel system. Trick question, it was implemented poorly. You know, you actually make a really good point. I actually think there's some validity to that. It probably was implemented poorly. Now, back in the day, like we're talking, when was Ruby and Sapphire released? Was it 2003? I know Emerald was 05. Um, so like for its time, I think it makes sense that it was the way it was. I've also had this discussion a lot about first gen, because like people talk, like you hear a lot of conversations about the problems with first gen and its balance. And I've always said that first gen makes so much more sense if you realize that it was like kind of a stereotypical RPG. Like it was Pokemon, but it still had like those traditional RPG elements. Like you had like people like the meme on Grimer and Voltorb, but Voltorb was just a mimic and Grimer was a slime, like that kind of stuff. So I think like in that respect, Hoenn for its time actually made a lot of sense because that was like how games were back then. But nowadays we're used to like higher quality of life. Yeah, water routes and tropical environment definitely made Gen 1 more diverse. It definitely felt like first and second gen were kind of like generic regions, and Hoenn was the first time they branched out and went with something that felt a little more thematic. I think that worked for it. Now you have to also keep in mind I have like giga bias for Hoenn, right? Hoenn is like my all-time favorite region. So it may have too much water, but I still love it. Alola was tropical. Yeah, Alola just like bypassed surfing on the oceans though. I was actually really shocked that Pokemon was like, let's do another tropical region. But I've also, so this is like kind of off topic, but um when I was younger, I liked to play SimCity 4, and I've like brainstormed ideas and projects pertaining to it in the modern era. I was like, wow, it'd be fun to create cities and different types of like environments. So I like started to like think about like what kind of environments there are, and I realized there's actually not like a lot of like, yeah, the world is diverse in its climate regions and whatnot, but it's not that crazy, right? Like, if you really try to break down environments and you ignore video game environments, like you stick purely to Earth like environments, you got like forest, jungle, tropical slash archipelago, or like coastal, desert, mountains, and like maybe tundra slash snow. So there's only so much that you could really work with. And I don't think Pokemon would actually want to make a region that's like exclusively desert or tundra. Like 4th gen was the closest we got to like a snowy region, right? Yeah, wetlands and bogs, that kind of like, you could sort of say that's thematically pretty similar to jungle. I mean, 4th gen incorporated bogs, right? Yeah, there's caves and tunnel systems, and like you could add that element. Like you could think about it almost like in terms of Terraria biomes, right? You got like, I mean, Terraria has forest, jungle, desert, snow, ocean, cave, and then you have Crimson slash Corruption and Hello, but that's fantasy. I loved the snow routes in Diamond and Pearl, but I'm like super biased. Speaking of which, hopefully all my viewers successfully survived that massive snowstorm a week ago. I hope everybody was able to navigate that safely. I've got a foot of snow outside, and I was not even the worst to get hit. You didn't? Yeah, says the person who didn't lose power. You should be blessed. All right, I think this gonna wrap up our conversation on Hoenn's Too Much Water. I ended up stretching this conversation a lot longer than I thought I could. Thanks for squawking with me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this conversation.